Okay, today we have the great opportunity to have Alturas Homes with us today. They're over from Boise, Idaho, specifically Eagle is where they're at. And just as a side note, they are currently looking for a superintendent for full-time employment, and they also look at internship opportunities as well. So if you're fitting into that category, come up and see Rod and his team afterwards. So Rod is a third-generation residential contractor from Eagle, Idaho. He studied construction management at BYU-Provo from 1999 to 2005. Throughout his career, he has spent time in heavy civil, commercial, and residential disciplines of construction, but ultimately settled into a career in the residential production home building. Alturas Homes has grown to be one of the top 10 builders in southern Idaho. He is married, has 3 children on the way, and 1 on the way, not 3 on the way. He served a mission for the LDS Church in Ecuador, Guayaquil, South Mission, from 2000 to 2002. So we'd like to welcome Rod and then his other counterparts here with him today. So if you could introduce him with a round of applause, that would be good.
Thanks. It's a kind of fun opportunity for me. It wasn't long ago that I was actually in your guys' shoes sitting in seminars. And I think when I went to these seminars, there were these awesome contractors that came, Kiewit and Pulte, and they had all these awesome pictures. And I think when I was in school, I kind of came just to look at the pictures, right? Because I kind of always knew that at the end of the day that I kind of wanted to be my own, boss. I wasn't really looking for somebody to work for. But I promise I'll get to some cool pictures. But I have to stand up on my soapbox a little bit here, and that's okay. But I'm grateful for the opportunity. I hope that you guys are here because you love construction and you love the industry and you have a passion for it. I had an experience. I remember when I was when we were in school, I was just newly married. My wife and I were walking south of campus, and she had this kind of aha moment because I was telling her how cool this framing class was that I was in. I loved it so much, and I think she kind of sunk into her like, wait a second, what did I get myself into? I thought maybe you were going to be a doctor, or dentist, or something, where you can make money, right? And I'm like, really? Like, why would I want to look at this for the rest of my life? Yeah, dentists are awesome. Some of you might have dads or cousins or whoever that are dentists. It's funny because my marketing guy that was putting this together for me, and when I was at BYU, it seemed like everybody I knew was going to be either an accountant or a dentist. And it was funny, I was telling my marketing guy who was helping me put the slides together, and he says, yeah, and he's not LDS, and he says, yeah, I think every dentist I know is Mormon. And it's true. And there's a dentist in Boise. I don't know how they make money, but there's a dentist on every corner. But I guess when you have kids and they get cavities, you realize that dentists, I guess, can actually make money. Then she the accounting was like so hard to get into the accounting program, and if somebody got into the accounting program, I was like, this is what I visualize as accounting. Now, I will say, I am currently business partners with an accountant, so I'm not devaluing accountants, but I will say that it's not for me. I don't understand it. I don't try to understand it. It's not what I want to do, but when I think about accounting, I couldn't do it. Doctors, everybody, there were so many kids going into pre-med. Doctors are awesome. We need them to make money so we can build cool houses. This is actually, I can't remember your name, but did a lot of work for orthopedic surgeons. This was actually a project that we did for an orthopedic surgeon. Doctors are awesome because they're smarter than you, and they make sure you know that they are. And they can't understand how difficult it is to estimate and to figure out what this house is going to cost. But you go to the doctor and you've got a knee problem, and oh yeah, here's what it's going to cost, and then they go in there, they had to do more, so it's going to cost more. They don't know. This guy actually got it. He understood. Great guy to work for. Really cool house to build. But I guess the point is, if you're going into construction, I hope you're here because you have a passion for it. I hope you're here not just because it's kind of a hot industry right now. And you're gonna need that passion, because construction is a wild ride. It's feast or famine. Just last night I was talking to my neighbor. I started working in 2005 after college. He's a lawyer. He graduated the same year as me in high school in '99, and he just started his career 2 years ago as a lawyer. And he tells me, he does contract law. He says, I love what I do because there's no risk for me. I get to work with entrepreneurs like you, and I get to live vicariously through you. You guys make all the money, and then you lose it again, and you make it, and you lose it, and that's true. Some of you, I don't know, remember what it was like, not long ago when the market was really, really bad and really good. But this is it. This is construction. I mean, take this back, and this is just real estate in general. You can take this back to early 1900s, however far you want to take it back. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Kind of an anomaly recently with a sort of a 17-year cycle, they call it. But right now, where are we at? Overall pricing, at least where we build, is higher than it was in 2005 and 6. Where are we at? Are we at the peak of the market? I don't know. The point is what are you going to do if you're going into construction to make sure that your career goes like this? That you don't lose all your money and then make it again and lose it again and make it again. Kind of have an even, steady flow. Maybe not quite on your mind right now, but I promise you when you go through one of these low downturns, you'll be trying to figure out how am I going to make money. Who better than to tell us than Napoleon Dynamite how to do this?
Nobody's going to go on with me. Can I ask anybody yet? No, but who would? I mean, having good skills. What do you mean? Like nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills. Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills.
It's true. It's true. It's kind of cool. I see a lot of girls out here in the CM program. When I went to school, there were 2 girls in the program, and we need more because you girls are detail oriented, a lot harder working than us guys are. So I'm glad to see you guys here. But employers need people with skills. You need industry specific skills. I get it right now. Finances are tight. You gotta make money wherever you can. You're in college. It's a great time of life though, and not a better time to actually go out and work in the industry. If I get a resume and I've got somebody that graduated with a construction management degree, but all they've done is work for a restaurant, I don't know what that does for me. We need people that truly have industry-specific skills. I'll tell you a little bit, I'll kind of tell you about my path through college and what I did, and it wasn't anything magical per se, but I had an opportunity to go work for a land surveyor. I actually worked for him for free. It was when my wife and I were engaged, and we were back in Eagle and aerial land surveying, and my wife was making money, I wasn't, but I was just trying to I was just trying to gain experience, right? So I worked with a surveyor, and I learned how to use this GPS equipment. You guys have probably seen these guys out there, and maybe this is like, at the time it was really new and cool, right? And you see these guys out there with these little things walking around. I had an opportunity to work for this land surveyor, and not only did I learn how to use this GPS equipment, but I learned, more importantly, how to use AutoCAD. And some of you, it sounds actually like you guys actually like your CAD classes. Who teaches the CAD classes? Somebody, oh, you do here.
One.
When I was in school, it was kind of like we had this architecture guy that was teaching CAD, and nobody kind of really, everybody thought, oh, I don't need to know CAD. I'm not going to become an architect. That one skill right there is the most valuable skill that I have as a contractor, by far, by far. So if you're thinking, hey, I don't need to learn Revit, I don't need to learn AutoCAD, I don't need to learn BIM, you're wrong. It will absolutely provide you skills that you can use forever in your career. I went back to school that semester. I had a buddy who worked for a excavation contractor called H.E. Davis. They actually were purchased by Sunrock. I saw a Sunrock sign come in. I went and worked for H.E. Davis, and the reason they hired me was because I knew this GPS stuff. They were outfitting all of their equipment with this GPS stuff, and I was talking to my buddy, and he was saying, yeah, we need another estimator. I went down, they interviewed me, they noticed that I knew how to use this Trimble software and this GPS equipment, and they actually hired me as an estimator, but as a side benefit, they said, hey, we don't know anybody that knows how to use this. We got to hire a surveyor to actually come and pay a lot of money to have him come set all this up. Can you set this up? I really didn't know how. I mean, I knew the systems, but I had no clue, but I figured it out. I said, sure, I'll come do it, and saved them a lot of money setting up this GPS equipment. There's nothing like standing in the cab with an old codger excavator who can, is like amazing with this machine, trying to teach him how to press this button, on the GPS thing, and understanding that a red number with an arrow down means you got to cut, and the green arrow with the one up. These guys are great craftsmen, but they couldn't understand this. It was a struggle to teach. Also, we were building a power plant in Mona, Utah, the Current Creek power plant. So I would go down and I would do quality control surveying with the GPS equipment that they had bought, which they would have had to pay a surveyor. In their contract, they had to do this. They would have had to pay a surveyor. So I, as a little college kid, knowing this software went, and I would take that back and I would use my AutoCAD to download all the software, put it all in it, and create as-built drawings for H.E. Davis for this power plant. I learned as an estimator a software called Heavy Bid. I don't know how much heavy civil stuff you guys do, but it was a software that was pretty new to the industry at the time. And because I knew Heavy Bid, I knew I wanted to live in Boise. That's where I'm from. I interviewed and got hired by McIlvaine Construction. I don't know, does anybody recognize that building? It's in Boise. I don't know how many of you are from Boise. That's yeah?
Is that the basketball arena?
No, that's the indoor practice facility, the football indoor practice facility. So I got to work on that project. I actually got, again, hired as an estimator. This was a design build project, and I don't know how many times I measured how much brick went on that building, but they kept changing how much they wanted. Anyways, cool project. They were starting an excavation division, and they needed somebody that knew HCSS Heavy Bid. Because I had worked for the excavator for H.E. Davis in Utah, they hired me to help implement this software. I learned a lot of good things at McIlvaine, but the most important one was I learned that I did not want to work for the men. Personality-wise, that just was that's just what it was for me, but I learned so many skills working at McIlvaine. That was an internship. Both H.E. Davis and McIlvaine, and I was talking to one of your professors earlier that you guys go get internships, and 95% of the time you're going to get a job offer from that person you did an internship with. As an employer, we invest a lot of money and time and resources to train you guys. And it's valuable for us to train you as an intern and then bring you on as a full-time employee. I got job offers when I was leaving college from H.E. Davis and McIlvaine, but ultimately, it wasn't where I wanted to be. You guys have all heard what's the phrase here? Jack of all trades, but master of none. Kind of counterintuitive, but I really do believe that you need to be a jack of all trades. Okay? You have got to know the disciplines. And you guys take classes and you do labs and you do all these things. You have got to know the best way that you can learn how to manage these folks is by actually doing some of the work. This is what I would say. Be a jack of all trades, but at least be a master of one. For me, this is what I felt like I do best. That's my highest and best. But I do need a diversified skill set. I cannot manage these folks as a general contractor unless I understand excavation, if I understand carpentry, I understand painting, I understand what it takes to be a good finish carpenter. And when I left college, I went and worked with my dad. My grandfather started Gibbons Construction in the 50s, ran it more of a production home building company. My dad took it over in the late 70s and kind of ran it more of as a custom home building company. Did a lot of remodeling. I went and worked for my dad, and it was kind of crazy because as a college graduate, I thought, man, I shouldn't be actually doing the finish carpentry labor. Shouldn't I be managing these guys? But my dad was a firm believer that I needed to know how to do finish carpentry if I was going to be able to see the things that were wrong with the finish carpenter that was doing the work. So he taught me trade work. My brother and I, actually both of us, spent the first 6 months of the time that we worked with my dad doing finish carpentry with the finish carpenter, and then going behind it and actually caulking all the crappy joints that we put together, and understanding that, oh my gosh, it is so much easier as a painter if that finish carpenter just takes that little bit of extra time to make that cut right, not leave such a wide gap to fill. My dad was not a businessman, for sure. But he definitely understood one thing about the industry, that you had to be you had to have a well-rounded skill set. When I left college, 2005, it was the boom. Market was crazy. We were doing custom homes and remodels, mostly remodeling, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry that you knew was leaving Micron and HP, and realtors were building homes and buying lots, and it was crazy. And I looked at my dad and brother and I, we kind of talked together. We thought, you know what? We ought to do this. We ought to go build some spec homes. Yeah, everything sells right now. No matter what it is, everything sells. And we literally, so we did. We went and bought a few lots, and we built some homes and sold them, and we made $30,000 net profit on those 3 homes that we did. And we thought, oh my gosh, we do 10 of those a year, we can pay ourselves and have $300,000 extra. We can retire when we're 35. Well, the flip side to that, we went and bought 5 lots for about $110,000 a piece. And literally, I remember driving through this neighborhood that we were building in, and from one week to the next, every single house was on the market. It was insane. And the value of those lots dropped by 75 grand. We literally, a year and a half or so later, got rid of our last lot, sold it for 35 grand. We paid $110,000 for it. So that opportunity to make $30,000 per house turned into a real negative deal. It sucked. What did we do? Oh, I forgot this slide. That's me. The whole idea here was to tell you that a lot of smart people made a lot of stupid decisions. Not only did I look stupid, but I made some stupid decisions. We remodeled. Okay? So new construction wasn't going well, but all these dentists and accountants and doctors kind of, weren't following the wave of cycle that real estate was. They had money. They had cash. They wanted to sell their houses, but they couldn't. They couldn't sell it and replace it. So they were willing to put money into their own properties and remodel. They pay cash for it. We started off with a house. This is a community in Boise called the Hickories. And I had one guy who was an engineer worked at Cradle Point. And he wanted to remodel his house. So he said, okay, let's go get an architect. Went back and forth with the architect 5 or 6 times. A couple of months later, we call him and say, hey, you got plans yet? It's like, no, this guy just doesn't get what I want. I spent $10,000 already, and I still don't have a plan that works. And I'm like sitting here waiting for this remodel to start because I've got nothing to do, and I need to start making some money. And so I said, hey, you know what? Quit, get rid of him. Let me draw the plans. I know how to do AutoCAD. Should be easy. I spent like a full week. I don't think I slept for a week, combing through plans, trying to figure out how architects actually draw this stuff to make it make sense, to communicate it to the guys in the field. But I knew CAD. I did it, right? So I did it. Hired a structural engineer for the few little items that we needed for structural engineering. Well, that worked. It was great. He told his friend, and this is literally what happened in this neighborhood in this order. He told his buddy, and all of a sudden, we were like busy as can be. We weren't making any money. Don't get me wrong. It was 2008 and 2009, and we were I think I made like $10,000 gross profit on this house right here. And then another guy called me, a couple of years later. Hey, these guys said you only charged them $10,000. You get that same deal? No, sorry, we don't do that anymore. But you get the idea. We were working, and we got more work. But I used those skills that I had learned through college, through these jobs that I had in college, to be able to be adaptable. Okay, and what happened was that was the community, the Hickories. That spread into larger custom remodels that we actually did make money on. One of these was for Chris Peterson and Robert Prince, who Chris Peterson was the head football coach at Boise State, and Robert Prince was his offensive coordinator, who wasn't very good. But we always joked that we remodeled that house and he was actually setting himself up to be able to sell his house to go to Washington, which kind of sucked because Boise State finished. But anyways, so you kind of get what happened. Partnered with my brother-in-law, who's the accountant. He saw an opportunity to flip homes. 2012, we flipped 65 homes and remodeled every single one of them. Okay. New construction started to pick up. We started to do custom homes. One of these right here was that one that I showed you in that picture earlier. And then we got into production home building. And these are the communities that we build in. Each of these communities, we probably build between 20 and 30 homes. And so all of a sudden, we went from 2008 doing these crappy remodels. 2012 starting production homes. We built 3 in 2012, and last year we closed 74. Just because we were working in the industry. There's guys that went through that market cycle that left the industry because they couldn't handle it, or it wasn't what their passion was. And I keep going back to that. If you love construction and you love what you do, you can figure out a way to make money. I hope you're not here because it's kind of a hot thing or an exciting thing. So diversification is important. We've done production home building, remodeling, custom homes, luxury homes. I'll get into the cool pictures now. This is in Tamarack Resort, which is in Donnelly, near McCall. This is a project that we actually started in 2008. I have no idea how we got this project for a semi-celebrity client that I can't tell you who it is because I signed my life away. You can go Google it and probably figure it out. This was on the ski hill, right? This is a ski run, those contour lines. For any of you that know anything about surveying or any of that, means that's really steep. This picture is taken actually when we were probably 90% complete with the home, from about right here. It was all board form concrete, reclaimed siding. Actually, we bought some siding materials from Trestlewood. I noticed them right here when you drive in. Really cool project. We knew nothing about this style of construction. When the architect approached us about building this home, they said, hey, why don't you kind of give us an idea how much this is going to cost? And at the time we were like, I think things are going for like $200, $250 a foot. And they said, no, go up, 300, 400, 500. And our original bid was $750 a square foot for this house, which is 10,000 square feet This little building right here is the garage. One of the first site meetings we had with the owners, really awkward. The architect was there, owners were there, and the owner asked, "Where's the garage?" "Oh, it's right here. It's this little small 2-car garage." And the owner is like, "I don't have a 2-car garage." And I'm like, I don't know who's dumber here, the owner for not ever looking at the plans or the architect for only drawing a 2-car garage on this 10,000 square foot house. But anyways, it ended up working out fine for him. Really cool project to build. This is a picture of the excavation. The excavator forgot to bid a 2-foot layer of drain rock that went underneath both structures. And so he starts excavating, and we're like, "No, you got to go lower." Like, "Why?" "Well, we got this drain rock we got to put in the house." "I didn't bid that." We're like, "Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?" That is a lot of money. These are helical piers. The engineer out of San Francisco specified what helical pier basically is a screw that you screw into the ground, and once it hits something hard enough to hit a certain torsion, it stops. And the idea is that it's going to hold the building in the ground. Some geologist, I guess, wrote a report that said that the mountain creeps 1 inch every 100 years. And so this engineer had this idea that these screws were going to keep the mountain from creeping down. It's a big waste of money to me if I think about it, but who knows if it's actually working. This helical pier, the contractor that did this had bid that every one of these helical piers would go 20 feet on average into the ground. The very first one they put in went 46 feet. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think we way underbid this, but it ended up being the average actually was about 12 feet is all they went in, but that was kind of a scary moment. That guy right there's the plumber. These big, this is not typical residential construction. We were learning as we went. The plumber, who was one of the guys we used on most custom homes, I think this is like the sign language, like looking at a set of plans, like, what the crap was this architect thinking? He has no clue. I think that's, he was kind of an honorary guy, but all the plumbing had to go, we had to put chases through all these footings because all the plumbing had to go through all these footings. Kind of an aerial picture. You can see this building, nothing was square. Everything had kind of these crazy angles. That's where my surveying skills really came in handy. We're sitting there pulling tapes and doing all these things to try to figure out, make sure. There's a sky bridge that goes, well, call it a sky bridge, that goes between this building to this building. And the windows, it's all glass. And all that glass had to be just right. And so we're freaking out thinking, man, what if we get these off like a foot, these buildings? Fortunately, by the time we actually put this all together, we were off by 1 inch only, which sounds like a lot, but it was actually pretty tight, considering the angles and all that stuff. Some more aerial photography, ton of concrete, really cool board form concrete. I think we probably poured like 35 concrete samples just to get the right look. And then every single pour that we did looked a little different. We were kind of worried with the owner, but they loved it. These angles are not easy to put together. This wall from here down to the top of the footing was, I think, 28 feet tall. And the only way we had one joint line right there, but those were scary moments pouring those walls. This is what the finished product looks like. That's that sky bridge with that glass. The only entrance to the house actually is right here, so it's kind of tricky working in this building because you had to go through this entry all the way through here, past all this glass to get to the other half of the building. Another picture of the home. This glass here, I couldn't find a glass company that was willing to take the liability to design a glass railing like this. And so, being problem solvers that we are, we went online, found a fastening system, ordered the glass from a company, didn't tell them what we were using it for, and spent some time installing all this glass railing. It's kind of a daunting feeling because literally it's like 20, 20-foot drop or so, and that glass is so clear, and you stand up next to it, and it kind of moves a little bit. It's a little bit flexible, tempered, so it's not supposed to break, but it kind of a weird feeling standing next to it. And it's like, oh. This house actually is a ski and ski out house, and so the owners were really worried about liability because this section right here, this is the ski run right here, and so basically what you do is you ski down here, and you can get onto these patios, these exterior patios, and they were really worried that they're only there for like a week and a half out of the year, and so they were really worried that when they weren't there, that people would come and snowboarders and skiers would jump off of their building. And I don't know if they do or not, but it kind of makes me a little nervous with all that glass railing. I think for the most part, people are pretty respectful of that. And you guys can, if you have questions about anything, feel free to ask any questions at all. You don't have to wait till the end. These stairs were a little bit of a trick, by the way. That railing does not meet code. Or the lack of railing there. So this was one where we won't tell anybody, but we had to put up a temporary railing to get the certificate of occupancy, and then the owner wanted it down. They were worried about people falling off of their terraces, but I guess they're not worried about people falling off these stairs when they walk down them. Those stairs are floating, right? I mean, they're not really floating, they're cantilevered out from the concrete wall behind. But every one of those stairs has hydronic heating looped through it, so that when you walk on this hydronic heated floor and you go onto the stairs, your foot doesn't get just a little bit colder. But it actually works. It actually works, and it's really cool. And it's kind of a cool feeling because you wouldn't expect it when you step on that stair for it to be heated. But it's really cool. Those were. Talk about needing somebody with good finish carpentry skills. We couldn't have the concrete guys build the forms for this. These were all poured in place, obviously, and so we had finish carpenters that built the forms to be able to pour all these in place. This is the main wing. Kind of an interesting thing. These appliances are Bosch appliances, not even the highest end Bosch appliance. There are so many like incredible, amazing appliance packages for a house this size. This is the exact same appliance package that we put into a $300,000 house in Boise. You'd have thought that they would have chosen something a little nicer, right? But just a Bosch appliance package. All these reclaimed timbers originally were supposed to be a structural element. We couldn't find a grader that would actually grade a reclaimed timber, and they were supposed to be I can't remember the grading criteria, grade A or whatever. You guys probably actually know better than I do, but they couldn't do it. So it had to be redesigned with a steel moment frame structure to where all the load would come off of these timbers. But they absolutely love these timbers. This project, by the way, we just finished. We started in 2008. And we just finished it last month. So luxury home building, if you like that, they take a long time. There was a span of about 3 years where we weren't working on it because the owners kind of put the halt on it. But overall build time took about 3 months or 3 years, and it's not for me. We have another project that somebody's asking us to do up in Tamarack that's sort of a big luxury home, and I'm kind of questioning whether or not it's worth it because it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time. But if you like that type of work, expect that you're going to be on these projects for a long time. This last Christmas time, these fireplaces, an outdoor fireplace, it's all concrete, but the inside of the fireplace is lined with 1/2-inch thick steel plates because they wanted the inside of the fireplace to be black. And so we thought, 1/2-inch thick steel, it could never warp or melt, right? Well, he had to have been drunk. I don't know how, but he put 45 logs in that fireplace, and it literally warped 1/2-inch steel and welded the plates together. So we had to go cut them out. In fact, they're still doing that in the process of cutting those steel plates out and replacing them. Not a warranty item because we don't ever recommend putting 45 logs. that reclaimed siding is right outside that too. I'm like amazed he didn't burn the house down. Custom home building. So luxury and custom, I kind of categorize things a little differently. That one was luxury is obviously a custom home. I classify a custom home as a home where somebody owns a lot. They come to me and say, hey, I want you to build this house, and we go build it. This was for a doctor. So we need doctors, like I said, to build homes. This home right here, again, had all hydronic heating and cooling. It's the first time we've done a house with hydronic cooling. We installed a backup HVAC system because it was kind of iffy as to whether or not it would work. So far, it has worked. This was a really cool project because the guy wanted a garage underneath his garage. This right here was the garage. And he wanted this road because he has like I can't remember what kind of vehicle, Land Rover or something, Land Cruiser, whatever, that he wanted to drive back around and have his own little man cave shop underneath. So these were all hollow core precast slabs to span that distance and still be able to park an RV right here and their vehicles and have that kind of a cool project. That's what it would look like when it was framing. We built them a lap pool. My dad fell off the roof right here. Do you guys see any OSHA violations on any of these pictures? You can probably point them out, but my dad fell off the roof right here, broke his pelvis and 4 ribs. So I thought we did not get an OSHA fine. I don't know how, but OSHA was on site within like 30 minutes of that happening, the fire department, police, and all that stuff. And I don't know how our insurance rate certainly went up, but it's another custom home. The thing I like about custom home building, and just, you know, for you guys that are maybe trying to decide which discipline of construction you're going into, is you get to do these really cool projects. And you don't have to put any money into it. You know, you don't have to go buy the lot. You don't have to go get a construction loan. The owner will do all that, and you can make pure profit, right? You go in, you set up a cost plus contract or whatever, and there's really no risk. The struggle with custom home building is, for the most part, you don't really get to dictate when you build the house. You're kind of sitting around waiting for people to come to you. You can market, you can do all sorts of things, but you don't really get to dictate the terms. You don't get to dictate the style. You don't get to dictate when you build it, when you complete it, or when they pay, unfortunately. A lot of times they are late on paying. Doctors like to hold on to their money and question every bill. But custom is a great way to go. We built a lot of custom homes, and we'll continue to build a lot of custom homes. When the production home market kind of drops down, there's still guys that are going to be building custom homes. There's still guys that are going to be remodeling. Just a cool picture of a kitchen. This was a home, kind of fun things you get to do when you do custom homes. The homeowner had a picture from Pinterest, which is like my least favorite website, because Pinterest means people can show you something and they think that you can just build it and it's not that expensive, because HGTV says that it only costs like $300 to remodel that kitchen, right? But she wanted these converging pocket doors. She had a picture, but she didn't want to see any track or any header or anything going across it, so we had to kind of engineer inside the truss system, a track system, to be able to run these pocket doors together, so you can kind of close off that little sitting room they had there from the kitchen. But kind of fun stuff. This was a barn door that we hung for her from an estate sale from Georgia. I'm really shocked that thing's still hanging because it was so rotted out, but it was really cool looking. Okay, skill set that I haven't discussed yet. The most important thing that you can learn as a personality trait is to be detail oriented. This building this bathroom and designing this bathroom was, I mean, it's critical that to get all the differences between, you know, the distance between the wall and the light and the mirror and all that stuff equal on either side, get the plumbing in the right spot, make sure the cabinetry is all built right, is critical. Can anybody name something wrong with this picture? It's driving me nuts every time I look at it. Yeah?
Your middle drawer, like in between the sinks.
This?
Yeah.
Well, that's not wrong with the picture. She had this crazy idea that that's what she wanted for a trash can opening. But yeah, that is kind of a weird thing.
The towel rods?
Okay, yeah. Are they? No, they're actually probably more of a perspective thing. They actually are the same height, but more of a perspective thing. Anybody? Yeah.
Or if the cupboards are really high, you might not use the space on the floor.
Yeah. I mean, that could be kind of weird, yeah.
That drawer is open.
Oh, it drives me nuts.
Oh, that's really
the
annoying.
photographer that took the dang picture didn't close the drawer. Right?
Now that you
I mean, that
notice.
stupid drawer sticking out. It drives me nuts. The picture looks awesome.
Change the
Yeah.
picture.
I mean, there's some weird design things, right? Yeah, that's not very functional. And who wants to see their trash can when you can put it behind a door, right? But that stupid drawer in that picture, we paid us money to have this guy take all these pictures, and he wasn't detail oriented enough to close the stupid drawer, right? We spent all this time putting this together. Anyway, it's kind of a cool picture, but that's one thing that I promise you is key. You've got to be detail oriented. You can't do things halfway and expect to be successful. Oh, AutoCAD skills. Architects would like die if they saw this house. You would look at this house and think it's a 2-story house, right? Everything on top is all fake, and architects hate that. So we had a single gal from California that came up and wanted to build a house, and she had this picture of this house as a 2-story house, and it was very similar looking to this, but she just like loved. She didn't want a 2-story house; she wanted a single level house, but she loved the look of this house. So in my infinite wisdom, I'm like, sure, we can build you a house that looks like a 2-story house. And everybody that walked into this house, so I designed this house for her, everybody that walked into the house walks in like, where's the stairs? Oh, I get it. And yeah, it's a little bit wasteful, right? I mean, she spent thousands of dollars for this fake look, but it's kind of a cool look. Production home building. You might think after looking at kind of cool pictures that this is pretty boring, right? There are more complexities with production home building than any other type of construction that we've learned. You look at these sites here, and look how big of an area you have to drive machines around and all this stuff and access all sides of the building. You know, there's really no limit on a 2-acre lot or an acre lot to what you can do with, you know, scheduling deliveries and having all this machinery to be able to get around. Then you go look at these production homes, and you're sitting there saying, oh my gosh, if this house is built and this house is built and that one's done and that one's done and all landscape, how the heck am I going to get to my backyard when there's like 5 feet between the fence and my house? And logistically, the scheduling of things is actually very complex. And everything has to be done right when it is supposed to be done. Zach here is our lead project manager, and he was just telling me how the window guy drove by one of our homes, and it looked like it wasn't quite done framing, and windows were scheduled to deliver on Tuesday. And he says, oh, they didn't look like they were done, I was going to deliver them on Friday. Like, no, I need windows there on Tuesday. Because if you don't deliver windows on Tuesday, the framer's going to be standing around. You don't realize how fast these things go up, and it affects a lot of things down the line. Cool thing about production home building is we can dictate our schedule. So we can go out and say, hey, okay, we want to build how many homes this year? We're going to go buy this many lots. We're going to start them in this order. And we can kind of dictate our schedule and determine how busy we want to be. But you also get to kind of put your own little flavor on the house. You know, we get to design it. We don't have an owner telling us what to do. We get to pick the colors. We get to pick all the finishes. If the ultimate end user actually likes it, that means you probably did something good. Let's see. That's that custom home that we did that had that fake 2-story area. You know, built a lot of homes in this community. All kind of had their own unique flavor. This is one of my favorite looking houses that we've done, but it took the longest to sell. I don't know why. I love it, but people just did not like the white house. White house with black trim and brick for some reason, so you kind of get the opportunity to experiment. That being said, one of the problems with production home building is it takes a lot of cash. For every production home we build, the bank requires us to put in about $75,000 of our own money just to be able to have the opportunity to borrow money from them, right? And the bank ends up making, you end up paying the bank between $8,000 and $9,000 in interest and fees just to be able to build that house. And you take on all the risk because you personally guarantee every loan that you sign. And so ultimately the bank has a way to come back at you if the market went bad. So there's a lot of risk associated with it. But it's pretty nice to be able to dictate your schedule. This is a community we built over in East Boise. The soils over here are terrible. We have to over excavate 12, below the house, 12 inches on every house and rebuild it up with pit run. And so it's not all, cut and dry in production home building. You kind of have to be adaptable and be able to, work with the materials you're doing. Production home building is kind of fun. That's what we do mostly right now. So, anyways, that's me. That's our Alturas Homes is our company. We grateful for the opportunity to come present. I hope that you love construction. I hope that you're here because you love it. If there's anything you take away from the seminar today, don't do this if you don't love it. Anybody have any questions?
How do you get these photos, aerial photos?
So the guy that helped me put this together, talk about somebody who's kind of a jack of all trades. He has a drone, and he goes around, he flies around, and takes all these cool pictures. So if you go look at our website, he's a great photographer. He does graphic design, he does marketing, and he does all that stuff, but he's a great photographer as well, and kind of a handy guy so you get all these aerial photos from the drone.
So do you have duplicate subs, like 2 finished carpenters, 2 painters, to get 74 houses done?
Yeah, unfortunately, one of the problems with our industry right now is we have a labor shortage. If I could, I would have one subcontractor, one framer that does all of our work, right? Now, financially, that doesn't always make sense. I think what makes the most sense is to have a subcontractor, a trade partner that does 80% of the work, and then another guy that does 20% of the work. Because if you've got one guy that's doing all of your work, you lose complete control of his pricing. But if you got that one carrot hanging out there for him and say, hey, I want to get that extra 20% of your work, well, you gotta keep your prices down. And FYI, this guy's doing it for cheaper than you, or very, very close. And if you raise your prices, he's going to come in and he's going to take all of it. So, but we do. I mean, we have one plumber, we have a couple electricians, we have multiple framers, we have multiple drywallers. There's just not very many trades out there that can keep up with all that work, and so it is a bit of a struggle. Anybody else?
So with that, do you see yourself with your subs with more different specialties? Like maybe you have one that does more custom flooring than
Yes.
generic. So you have more of the...
Yeah, so there's certain trades that we can't cross over from production home building to custom home building. They just can't, they don't understand the quality level that's necessary and the pricing structure. And anytime we've tried to use one of the guys that's a little less expensive on the custom home building, we end up paying more for it in the long run to fix everything he did. And it's tough. It's hard to train. It's hard to train a finish carpenter that just doesn't frankly know how to do good work to do good work. They might be less expensive, but man, the owners come and pick it apart. Homeowners are very picky, and rightfully so. They spend a lot of money for a house. And so you can't always use that subcontractor. There's absolutely a level of quality and attention to detail that people, you can't let that carrot of that just, oh, I'm gonna save $100 on this house and use this guy that's cheaper, because you're gonna end up paying, you know, $500 or $600 or $700 to fix the stuff that he couldn't do right. Anybody else?
What finish material are you using on those siding stuff?
So this is a product called TrueWood. TrueWood. So TrueWood it's like an exterior grade MDF.
So it's
It's a composite.
Louisiana Pacific stuff.
It's not LP.
Okay.
LP is we use LP as well. This one is TrueWood. This is kind of like an MDF, right?
Okay.
The struggle with this material is with humidity changes. It swells. LP is a great product because it's more of like an OSB type. It's a strand material, and so it doesn't swell like MDF will. LP is a little more expensive, but if installed right, this can be great. I mean, it'll last for a long time if you maintain it, you paint it. But it's a great product. I do like this particular product because it looks more real than the LP stuff or the Hardy material. So it has a real true shake look to it. Yeah.
So you said you use AutoCAD, and that's how you design most of your process?
Yeah.
Do you ever use Revit?
I don't have the mental capacity to learn Revit because I know AutoCAD, and I really haven't even tried. But I have a designer, I have a drafter in-house that does a lot of detail work for us. She draws our electrical plans and draws our cabinet plans, and she uses Revit, and she can't fathom using AutoCAD, right? I mean, it's just so slow for her, and so yes, we do use Revit. I don't personally, but we do use Revit. And our engineer, so we don't do our full construction documents in-house. I hire a subcontractor, an engineer, to actually put together all the construction documents. He uses Revit. More and more we're seeing that people use Revit. Some of the smaller drafters still use AutoCAD, and smaller architects. It takes a lot to learn Revit and build the families and all that stuff. And so, but we're seeing more and more and more people using Revit. I think if you're wanting to get into that design industry, I say AutoCAD. AutoCAD is owned, or Revit is owned by AutoCAD. So, you know, understand, you know, learn what's current. Absolutely, and I think that's what you teach is Revit, right?
Yeah, we teach AutoCAD too.
Oh, AutoCAD as well, yeah. So there are some practical uses for AutoCAD. Designing floor plans actually is quite a bit faster in AutoCAD, but you know, it has its limitations.
So some of us made that change about your age, so I think you could do it if you wanted to.
I could try. I just don't have any time right now. I could try. Trying to not. Any other questions? Okay, thanks for coming, and I think we'll have pizza here later and some shirts and hats and stuff for a little info session, so you'll have to talk to us.
Yeah, thank you, Rod, appreciate it. So as Rod said, they'll have an information session here in this room, 4 o'clock. They'll have some pizza, and you can come up and talk to them as well. Next week we have Varela, Lee, Metz, and Guarino. They're a law firm that specializes in construction litigation. It's different than the last law firm. The last law firm was construction claims defects. This law firm goes more into scheduling claims, schedule compression, and just other different types of construction litigation. So it'll be an important thing to be to, and it'll be a great opportunity. They're coming over from the East Coast, so it'll be good. So we'll see you next week. Thanks.